Good early morning, everybody. I just want to give you an update on Rex. Thank you so much for your concerns and questions and stuff. And I want to answer some things and comments that were made. This is my intuition. I believe that somebody entered the nonprofit building sometime early this morning, and somebody commented that they may have given him antifreeze. Well, I have witnessed them poisoning one of my cats with antifreeze when I first moved here. I'll tell you how evil they are. It was when I first moved here and my cats were living in a pod. And then they'd come out during the day and wander around where I was living in my car. And I left a water bowl out. They emptied the water bowl and spilled antifreeze everywhere. They may have even had it in the bowl. I had just moved here in 2019, and they were doing it as soon as I got here. I know for a fact that certain cat rescues in New Jersey and in Maryland have on hand, always, injectables. I'm not going to say that much more about it because this is YouTube, but some of these things are toxic. And I know for a fact because one of the despicable creatures worked at the New York City Animal Shelter. Actually, when she was hired there, half of the medical staff resigned. They didn't want to work with her. And after she got there, she fired all the volunteers. She didn't want them around rescuing cats. She wanted to do as she pleased. She wanted to euthanize them, sell them into medical experimentation, and do whatever she felt like it. And after her very short tenure there, that wasn't renewed, she ended up at a national cat rescue. I'm not going to name the names. But I know for a fact that these animal rescues in Manalapan, New Jersey, Englishtown to be precise, that's where they were located. You know, the little group of lawyers and people that claim to rescue animals but don't. They're just lining their pocketbooks. They always kept medication on hand. They always had injectables. I was always shocked at how they could have this stuff, how they would get the prescriptions for it, how they'd have the funding for it, because it's expensive. But they did. So I was just in with Rex. I had left him on a semi-elevated cot, like one of those cool cots, on a cushion. I was shocked that he maneuvered his way off of it onto the floor and semi-underneath it. His breathing is very irregular. It almost looks like he's convulsing, but he's not. It's almost appearing as if he is seizing, but he's not. There is something inside of his body that is causing him to paw in a forward direction and then stopping. I was talking to him and petting him, and I did get some purrs out of him. I don't know if the purrs were that he was responding to me or that he was in pain. Cats, when they're in pain, will purr around other animals. Like if there's a pregnant cat giving birth and there are other cats around her, they will be close and all purr, like in syncopation. Sort of like the way chickens, when they're laying an egg, the other hens around will start to cackle, as if they're soothing the pain of the egg, the egging process. But Rex is not eating or drinking. I injected some water into his mouth and some rescue remedy. And he's not good. He's not going to make it. He's not going to make it because I don't know exactly what they did and I wouldn't know how to treat him. He would need some blood work done and have it analyzed. So anyway, folks, I just wanted to give you that update. And I wanted to tell you that my gut feeling is that he was injected with something. If it was antifreeze, I mean, there are other cats in that building. If it were in the water, they would have all been sick. So they singled him out. They singled him out and injected him with something. This is a large cat with claws. And I just felt him, and it's like, I probably had not cut his nails in a while. So this is not a cat that would have approached a stranger or without a struggle. It would have scratched them, even though he's a good cat. He's non-violent, non-aggressive. But if somebody entered that building stealthily and had an injectable, they could have done it to him, singling him out, or just the first cat that was available. And back in New Jersey, when they were doing these disgusting things to my cats, I had spoken to Dr. Staninger. I had an appointment with her. I didn't realize that she was a cat lover, that she had cats. She actually wrote a book, a self-published book about cats, which she sent to me after our appointment. But I explained to her what was happening. And it was her intuition or feeling that they were experimenting on my cats, just the way they're experimenting you and I. And part of the experimentation is that there is nothing that I could do to prevent them being killed, which is part of the torture. This is how sadistic these people are. These are psychopaths. Torturing animals is the number one indicator of psychopathy and people that end up in the prison system. But my favorite Bureau of Instigation and the terrorist watch list, the terrorist screening database, all the little nominations under the table, these people are torturing people and animals for revenge, for a vendetta, for fun, with no due process. Even murderers and rapists and pedophiles in prison had due process. They got to stand or sit before a judge and a jury of their peers. Many of them had trials. But no, not us. Not the innocent ones. Because guess what? If we were to go before court, each one of us individually, what could they possibly say? Some contrived BS? Something they concocted that we would dispute with proof, with evidence? It's despicable. And to the people who commented, this is why you won't get a pet. Well, I've had these cats. I have a nonprofit cat rescue. I moved to Kentucky with 26 rescue cats, and then the couple that got stuck back in New Jersey, months later, I had them trapped and transported back here cost me almost $1,000. I still have one cat back there that won't get caught. And I send food to the person who's feeding him. There are not, even those national rescue people who claim to be rescue people, no, they're just advocates. They call them community cats. There's nobody in the community taking care of the cats, their victims. And that's part of one of the things that they do is that one of my missions for my cat rescue was educating the public about trap, neuter, and return, and the ethical methods for doing so. I am against ear tipping. And I let it be known that I'm against ear tipping and the reasons why. A lot of ear-tipped cats end up back at the SPCA or somewhere. They'll be up for adoption. And many times they're looked over because their ear's tipped. In addition, if the ear is not tipped properly, or if too much of the ear is tipped, it will cause vestibular problems, which causes a head tilt. And these disgusting non-profit cat rescue people don't care. They will trap kittens and get them spayed and neutered and vaccinated all on the same day and ear-tipped and throw them back outside in less than 24 hours' time. And they don't care if the animal dies, and it will die. It'll die a slow and painful death. And they don't care because nobody's following up. And yes, there are people that were like me, small rescue groups, that do follow up. That have houses, that have their house filled with cats that they can't have adopted. They can't find homes for. They rescue them because they shouldn't be outside. I mean, I've known people to have 30, 40, 50 cats in their homes that rescue animals. Their houses are immaculate. Like mine was in Manalapan, New Jersey. And that's ass Sergeant Carey at the Manalapan Police Department had the audacity to tell Centra State, well, she has 30 cats, but the house is clean. The house is clean. It was more than clean. It was immaculate. It was gorgeous. And all of those cats that I rescued outside was because I trapped them because I was moving. I was moving. Until you guys prevented me from moving by blacklisting my house. And every day when I was out there trapping cats, you were inside my house, vandalizing it so that I couldn't sell it. You pieces of crap at the Manalapan Police Department, I will never shut up. You all should be in prison. Not all of you. Your little hockey club puck friends. And your ex-chief of police, Michael Fountain. Womanizer. He's despicable. Anybody want the lawsuit filed against him by his own police officer? Email me. You could read all the despicable details of what he does when he's drunk and how he treats his officers as the enemy of the state. Yeah, he fabricates evidence too. Now guess what? The guys that are left behind work with him. They went along to get along. They were involved in the torture. Not only of me and their own police officers, but there was another woman who lived down the block from me. She had 2 girls. They did the same thing to her. She's dead now. Yeah, she was forced to move, and all they did was claim that she was a hoarder. She was not a hoarder. They were torturing and murdering her in her own home. Divorced single mom with 2 girls. She could barely keep up the house herself while they were in and out of there vandalizing and torturing her, just the way they did to me. No, I won't shut up. And would I get another animal again if I didn't have a nonprofit? Yeah, I would. You want to know why? An animal is better to be loved in your care for as long as you have them than for them to rot away in an animal shelter. Because a lot of those animals in an animal shelter get sick, they're lonely, they're depressed. They have cats in one section, dogs in another. The cats are sensitive to sound and the dogs are barking incessantly. I know. I did volunteer work at the SPCA in New Jersey. It's horrible. So I will always adopt another animal. I don't even have to adopt them. They find me. Since I'm living here, let me think about this. There are 4 cats right now that made their way to my property. Guarantee somebody dumped them here. So no, I don't even have to go looking for cats. So to the commenter who said this is why you won't get a pet. Well, there are people out there, targeted people, whose pets are not harmed. It's not part of their script. But it's part of mine because I have a nonprofit. And a nonprofit is validating what I do. I've been doing this since 2012. And even though they've gone behind my back to a lot of my donors when I lived in New Jersey, slandered me, they stopped communicating with me, even with certified letters when I explained to them what was happening. Yeah, maybe I'll start reading those letters online. Single out these people that went along to get along with the fake badges. Yeah, I make sure to put everything in writing, folks. And you should too. You never know when you're going to need to fall back on something that happened 2 or 3 or 5 years ago and you don't remember all the details now because of all the targeting. Put it in writing, folks. Even if you don't send it, just keep a record for yourself. And I will always adopt or have another animal. Again, the shelters are filled with animals. People are surrendering animals because of the economy. If I had a different setup, a little bit of a different setup, I would adopt all the older cats. It breaks my heart to see an older cat in an animal shelter, a cat that's been loved for 12 years and then dumped because some landlord says, oh no, we can't have animals anymore. So anyway, that's my animal rant. I do not believe that Rex is going to make it. He can't eat. He can hardly move. And when I was watching him, I was in there for a long time. I wanted to observe his behavior, his symptoms. And he would suddenly start twitching. Like his paws would start twitching. His head would twitch. He would suddenly lift up his head. And his pupils are huge. They're so dilated. And then while I was petting him, At some point, it was almost like he was trying to move away from being pet. In another instance, he was purring, and like I said, I don't know if he was purring because he was in pain, or if he was purring acknowledging me. I don't know. But I do believe he was injected. And there isn't anything that's going to convince me that he wasn't, other than he may have been hit with a weapon, a laser or a taser or something. Because obviously I can't see that on his body. I couldn't see that. And if they gave him antifreeze, like, they would have to have put it in the water. And then all the cats would have been sick. So it was just him. He was singled out. So anyway, folks, I would recommend that if you want a pet, get it. Get a pet. Like I said, they're euthanizing animals right and left in shelters. Some of them live in horrible conditions. And in whatever short life that they have with you, you will give them the best possible life, which is going to be 10 times better than living in a shelter. 10 times better than living out on the street. And they want you to not adopt an animal. Because you know what? Animals are comforting. A cat's purr has a frequency that heals. So I highly recommend getting yourself an animal, a pet. And right now I hear raccoons outside. I've got a family of raccoons. Well, actually, I had a mama last year. The mama brought me 3 babies. Those babies grew up. They still come to my porch every night. And now the cycle continues. They brought 2 babies. And the only thing I'd say is that baby raccoons are they're like the cutest animal on the planet. They are just the cutest. They squeak. They've got like this cute little squeak. And they are so adorable. And they act like a bunch of like little children. They were playing with I have a rug when you walk out the door. And they were playing with the corner. There must have been a thread there. And they were playing with it. And actually they took it in their mouth and drew it across itself. It's like, damn, that little baby is strong. But that's what's going on here. It's Animal Farm here, guys. I'm not trying to make jokes about this, but this is too much. It is off the charts what's happening to me here. I don't hear of a lot of other people that are experiencing the depth of what's going on here. But it also has to do with the quality or the inequality of the individuals that live around here. I'm not going to say anything more about it. And I'm going to hang up on that note. Thank you for listening, folks. And I do look forward to your questions, comments. And don't not get a pet. That's what they want you to do. They don't want you to be happy. You get a pet if you want it. But anyway, this is Lorraine Alternative Homesteading signing off for now. Oh, and sometimes you just gotta say, cluck it and walk away.